Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Asajj Ventress, and more importantly, the fact that she is going to be getting a Omicron ability for Grand Arena, which is a pretty big deal. And there are a lot of, not nuances, but there are a lot of things to consider when looking at this Omicron. We've done reviews similar to this before where we talk about the ins and out, what is going to be a good idea, what's going to be a bad idea, if this is really worth it, and if you really want to be going into this, especially given the current state of the game where Malgus is very much around the corner with the last conquest coming up really soon. So without further ado, let's just jump into the ability. I'm going to read it in its entirety, and we're also going to be looking at some other kit functions to see if this is really a good idea. So Nightsisters allies gain 30% max health, potency, and tenacity right off the bat. So that is what that really is that's just a way for Nightsisters to kind of keep up with a lot of the other factions. Nowadays, almost every single team has just some random character, not really random, but one character that's going to be able to boost the stats in a random way. Dash gives a lot of stats, Zam gives a lot of stats to her team, Chewbacca, or rather Nubaka, gives a lot of stats to the CLS team. A lot of these modern teams, they all have one character that's just putting in flat stats or percent stats just to kind of round them out, and we see that here with Asajj, and those stats are useful, but at the same time, I'm not sure how useful they're going to be, considering the fact that she has to be alive for them to work, and a lot of times the Nightsister team has to rely on just Daka surviving on her own, and if your Asajj is dead, and you're trying to rely on your Daka to revive everyone, this 30% extra max health isn't actually there. So it's good, and the potency and tenacity are kind of good too, but it's not, I don't think it's super game-changing. Continuing on, when any ally or enemy is defeated, all Nightsister allies gain 10% turn meter and recover 25% protection. This is probably, honestly, the most bang for your buck that we're going to get out of the Omicron. 25% protection every single time someone keels over. Nightsisters, for as long as time has begun, have been really, really bad for banners because they have no way to recover protection. It's not in any of their kits, not in any of them, no leads, no uniques, no specials, no nothing. Now they finally have a way to recover protection. This is good for banners, but it's also good to kind of counteract things like dots that really eat into, say, Daka, who has, stacking max health, that'll go up to oblivion, but at the end of the day, 20 or 25 dots or whatever it is are still gonna kill her. Protection really helps offset that. The turn meter is good. Nightsisters already have a lot of working turn meter. I guess this on top of it does help. It probably helps close the gap a little bit when using Deathstorm. So they recover that, and the cooldown of Endless Wrath, that's her AoE, is reset. When Asajj uses Endless Wrath, inflict healing immunity on all enemies for 2 turns and reduce their defense and max health by 4% for the rest of the encounter. Asajj has 10% critical damage for each enemy with debuffs. So the critical damage with each enemy with debuffs is okay. With stacking offense that comes on here is actually really, really good. That's going to add up very quickly because her base is constantly increasing. The fact that she's now getting crit damage on top of that, she's going to hit super freaking hard, way harder than she hit before. I don't even know if that part of the kit is necessary, given what comes before it. The fact that she is going to be reducing on all enemies defense and max health by 4%. This is really broken. This reminds me honestly a lot of Gas, when he would just get to reduce the enemy's max health by 10%. There are a few caveats with this. It does look like it is resistible, so any team that has tenacity up, or just a high amount of tenacity in general, or maybe a high tenacity on a Datacron, you're not going to be able to do this consistently. So that is the Omicron in its worth, and I will not lie, as a whole, it looks very good, but I think when the rubber hits the road, it's really not that relevant. And I know that's a little bit of a change of gears in the way we've been talking about it, but with Nightsisters' current place in game, which is kind of pretty low on the totem pole, that isn't not because they're bad, but because CG has been making a really large push on a ton of other teams, making them better and better and better, that the core problem of Nightsisters never had to do with damage. Asajj's stacking offense 15% every single time you get part of that Deathstorm going was really, really cool. Like, even with we have a Gear 12 Asajj, even with her, we were able to kill solo JMLs. Like, she can build up enough damage if you give her time. Sure, the max health and the defense going down is also very good, but at the same time, all the mechanics of the teams that currently destroy Nightsisters are going to stay in place. If you get a BAM team, you line up everything right, you have your 20 birds to go off, and then you just kill 2 or 3 members on the team permanently, it doesn't really matter. Bounty Hunters are still going to go first. They're still going to get Annihilate to be able to snipe Asajj or whoever off the field immediately. Sith Triumphant as well, you're going to be able to isolate. You're going to be able to increase their cooldowns, especially if there's matching relics. Troopers are still going to go first. Really what Nightsisters needed was some type of savior mechanic or some type of catch-up mechanic as well, because even the other teams that just have, you know, one or two super debilitating debuffs, like Tally is still the only source of cleanse they have. They still only have one cleanse in the entire thing. If this also made Endless Wrath be a cleanse, that would be huge. So you can constantly shake up the healing immunity, you can constantly shake up the shock, you can constantly shake up the daze, you can constantly shake up the stuns, etc. That would be a really, really great thing, but it doesn't do that. So overall, I think this is going to be a decent Omicron. I don't think it's really top level. I think it's probably so more in the area of Akbar or, and this isn't an insult, but Chirpa. Chirpa is also a pretty decent Omicron if you have really good Ewoks to go on top of it, because the Chirpa Omicron enhances what Ewoks can already do. It gives them more turn meter, it gives them more speed so that they can really close those gaps. This very much is the same idea. Nightsisters already had this really good synergy going with revives, stacking offense, turn meter gain. That was very so much what they were already doing, and now they're going to do it to an even better extent. So any battle before this that you would have maybe timed out in an opponent, or you just need a little extra more boost to go with you, it's going to make a difference. So like one of the main teams that Nightsisters currently beat is General Grievous. This is going to be even better now, because not only are you going to be making the team weaker and you're going to be able to kill them faster, but when you come in and you're able, two things actually. When you come in and you use the max health lowering, you're able to lower their overall max health, you're also decreasing Grievous's damage at the same time. So that counter, I think, had like it had a pretty good win rate. It's somewhere around 70-80% before this. That one's going to shoot up to closer to 90 or 100. And there's some other counters as well in the mix. Maybe CLS. Nightsisters had an outside chance at beating them before this. Now, she's going to be able to apply healing immunity and Plague together. We've seen this with Dooku Lead. It's a really, really nasty mixture. And I don't know if this is going to be a very reliable thing. CLS just might destroy your entire team. Nubaka gets a turn, it's just Daka left standing. He gets his AoE off and just kills her. But it's going to make it more reliable than it was before. So overall, I think it's decent. I think it's going to help them where they already exceed. But I do not think this is going to open up a slew of new counters that they weren't beating before this. And anything that was able to get in and control them before they could move is going to continue to do that. They would have needed something like a savior mechanic that could snap them out, that could cleanse, or a more consistent cleanse like we talked about with Tally has a cleanse, but it's not consistent. So I would be very wary for those of you who are about to get Malgus. He probably doesn't even need all three, but we don't know that yet. He probably needs somewhere between 1 and 2, but it would be a good idea to have as many as you can standing. And after we get done looking at Malgus, maybe she is something worth coming back to. Or if you just love Nightsisters, you already have them all relicked out of their minds, and you want to have the best version of that team, she's also a pretty good choice. But that is going to be everything we have to say on her. Hope you guys liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, stay awesome.